Welcome back. So today is another day of proof that altcoin season may be here. And this is what I know all of you guys want to hear, but hear me out. Let me explain. First of all, Bitcoin today kind of acted weird, right? Opened pretty high, looked like it was going to go higher, and then it kind of slid down a little bit to 116. Not a whole lot of movement, but looking at the liquidation heat map, which I should have looked at this morning, kind of showed that that was where it was going to go. There were some pretty heavy levels around 116-ish, 116.5 or something, 116.2. So that's where Bitcoin went down, and then now it's coming back up a little bit. So that's actually to be expected. But here's the thing. Even though Bitcoin slid down like $1,000 or so, you know what didn't happen? The alts didn't move. In fact, someone like Solana is having a really good day, and it's holding. It did not go down at all. I think it's like 180 right now. I don't know the exact number, but you could clearly tell Solana today did exceptionally well. Did not go down, still recovering. ETH hardly moved. ETH went down a little bit, like $100, but overall held its gains. XRP holding, going sideways, no movement at all. And various other alts, they hardly went down. So this is a sign of altcoin season. When Bitcoin goes down, I mean, even like 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, whenever Bitcoin went down, you guys knew how frustrating it was. Bitcoin goes down a little bit, alts go down more. Bitcoin comes up, alts don't really come up to the same level. That's why Bitcoin's been so strong and alts have been just getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It's not really near its January high. None of the alts are really near their January high, with the exception of a few, right? But ever since last week, ever since BlackRock started loading up on ETH, something clicked, something changed. I looked at BTC dominance just now, right before filming. It went down even more today. It's at like exactly at like 60%. It's going to break into 50s if this continues. So even though Bitcoin is still holding extremely well, we have almost no volatility whatsoever, besides like a 1,000, 2,000 point swing, which is less than 2% at this point. Alts are holding. Not only that, they're still climbing, right? And there's a couple reasons for this. So let me share. As for Bitcoin, let me start out with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, not a whole lot of big news, but I did see Trump media announce that they bought $2 billion worth and put in their treasury. And that puts them into like the top 10 of all Bitcoin holders, which is really amazing, right? And Saylor says he's going to like raise $500 million more with some other kind of stock offering to buy more Bitcoin. No surprise. So, you know, Bitcoin accumulation is still happening. That's why it's so solid. That's why it's not, there's no volatility. Volatility is like close to all-time low right now. However, right, there are a lot of people that are turning to alts, like BlackRock, for example. I showed this morning, Thursday and Friday last week, BlackRock actually had more Ethereum going through ETFs than Bitcoin. I believe that's the first time in history. I don't believe that's ever happened before. That's a pretty telling turning point. Okay, so I don't know what it's going to be today, but I have a feeling it may be the same way. So there's definitely institutional interest, and there are many that are now speculating that all these big cap ETFs are going to get approved. So Solana, right? The deadline for change is actually this month. And basically, it looks like everything, all the applications are going to get approved for Solana. And that's going to come in October. So they may have that done really soon. And the same thing with XRP. So both of these, no surprise, have been doing very well. They've been coming up. And there's many others, right, that have come up recently. They also have pending ETFs. And, you know, it just feels like, again, it's the start of altcoin season. I've always told you guys before, you could kind of sense it when it starts, and it's never too late to rotate Bitcoin into alts, but the timing has to be right. Because if you rotate too early, then obviously you lost out on a lot of gains because Bitcoin just kept going up and up and up and up. But had you been stacking sats this whole time, now Bitcoin's near all-time high, you can move some of those profits into alts if you want to. Now, a lot of you guys are Bitcoin maxis. That's perfectly fine. Bitcoin is still the big daddy and will always be the big daddy of crypto, and there's nothing wrong being 100% in Bitcoin. But the reason why my DCA portfolio is full of alts, and even though they're underperforming versus Bitcoin right now, based on experience and based on history, alts tend to come back and they outperform Bitcoin because they're just smaller in market cap and there's more FOMO. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens this cycle. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't happen that way. And then, then Bitcoin Maxis wins, right? But I have a feeling now we're starting to see momentum build. And if institutional interest, which I didn't think was going to come for alts, at least not in this manner, if they're buying by the billions, we're definitely going to have a lot of FOMO. And there's a lot of pent-up energy, too. And let's not forget, there's like 200 billion in stablecoins out there. And, that's a lot of money. Imagine $200 billion being used to buy your favorite alt and memes. What that's going to do, right? So, pretty good. Pretty good. Now, this morning, funny enough, a lot of you guys mentioned Dave Portnoy. He's really wishy-washy with his crypto, and people. When I was talking about XRP doing well this morning, people were like, "Well, Portnoy isn't XRP." I just read an article; he's not. So, supposedly, some friend told him to buy XRP, which he did, and recently he's admitted he just sold it all at around 240 because his friend told him about Circle and how Circle may be competing with Ripple. So he decided to sell all of it at 240, and now XRP is at like 360, right? So he lost out on a lot, millions. So, what does that prove? Number one, not a good guy to go to for your source of crypto information. Number two is, hey, sometimes the best thing to do is just hold. Sometimes the best thing to do is not make irrational moves, even when you're scared. This is why I always advocated hodling and DCAing, right? It's the ultimate strategy. And it's a clear example because it's not just him, so many other people, they get fed up and they sell out, or they get scared, they sell out, and then a week later things start pumping, or maybe even a day afterwards. But outside of that, hey, today I've been telling you guys about boot camp. First day, it was great. We had 1,000 people sign up, but concurrently live, we had about 100, a little bit over 100. I showed up at the beginning, introduced the class, and then it was very interactive with Blake, who's the teacher, and he's on my team. And you know what? Today, day one went great. So day two is going to start tomorrow. A lot of you guys may want to check out the recording of today, or you want to join in tomorrow or later. Hey, go sign up and roll in boot camp. It's not too late. And you know what? Blake did a really good job today, and he's going to teach more about risk mitigation and trading and strategies and profit taking, all these things that are also important in addition to holding and DCA, right? Yeah, that's about it. Today is again proof that altcoin season is here. And what's not to love about that? All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right? Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.